Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and in this tutorial we are going to be looking at creating a random password generator. Now, a random password generator sounds like a relatively advanced, complicated thing to do. However, in actual fact, we can achieve this with only 2 lines of code, and then obviously the rest of the code for the form itself. Now, what I've come and done is set up a basic form. We've got a generate button here, and then we've got a form text field here. So we have our HTML form. The idea that we want to the overall result that we want to achieve is when we click this generate button, we generate a random secure password. Now, I haven't set any options that the user can actually specify, for example the length of the password or any other options to do with the actual password itself. However, what you could do is, if you have knowledge of HTML forms, you could then add in extra form fields to specify length, for example. So the idea of this is we click generate, the page refreshes itself, and what we do is we achieve essentially what is a secure password, which uses a combination of uppercase, lowercase characters, numbers, and then special characters as well. So as long as we keep clicking generate, this is going to generate a secure random password, hard to brute force. So how do we go about doing this? Now, we need to look at the code. Obviously, what we're going to be doing is building up the form first. If you're unsure about HTML forms, you can follow along and see how we submit and check if this button here has actually been pressed before we generate the password and insert it into the form. And we're going to be using PHP embedded within this form to check if the password has been generated, and then put the value of the randomly generated password inside of here. So let's go ahead and we'll set up a blank document. We only need one page, and that's index.php, and then what we can do is start coding out the HTML first, then we'll go ahead and do the PHP. Okay, so we're over to our text editor. What we're now going to do is actually start creating our PHP code and our form as well. So let's go ahead and just specify up here, just pop some PHP tags in there. What this is going to do is, when we submit our form, we're submitting it back to index.php, and we're going to allow PHP to pick up the fact that we've actually clicked on the generate button, and I'll show you how to do that throughout this tutorial. Okay, so the first thing obviously we need to do is create the form. So we use our form tags below our PHP code, and then we need to specify an action and a method. So the action is going to be index.php, because we're submitting this form when we click a submit button back to this page. And the method for this is going to be post, just so we don't get any unnecessary data showing in our URL. Otherwise we'll have something like $, and then our generate button value there, if you like. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Okay, so we need to create, first of all, a button that needs to be clicked, and then a text field that needs to contain the randomly generated password. So let's go ahead and create an input type, and this is going to be submit. Now the name of this is going to be, missed an M, generate, and the value of this is going to be generate. This is just what's displayed to the user, and this is the variable name, if you like, that we're going to use PHP to pick up on. So we're basically going to check if the button has been set, and we're going to use a function called isSet. And now all we need to do is create a text input type, and we don't really need to give this a name. We just need to set it a value, and the value of that is going to be the variable we declare up here, or assign a value to in PHP. So all we need to do for now is value equals something. You can obviously change the size of it, maybe 35, that should be long enough. And then when we refresh the page, you can see that we've got our generate button and our text field there. Maybe that is a bit too long, so I'll just get rid of that. Complete personal preference. Okay, so there. So we're going to be clicking this button. You can already see that what happens is it doesn't go anywhere. In actual fact, what it's doing is it's submitting this information back to this page. So anything contained within our form is being submitted back to index.php, and we can go ahead and pick it up inside of our PHP tags. Let me just indent that for readability. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is when this form is submitted is we need to check for this value generate and see if it's set. We're essentially saying, has it been clicked? It doesn't actually check if it's been clicked, but we use a function in PHP called isSet to check if it exists and it's been submitted back to the page. So all we need to do now is say if. We need to start up a block, so anything within this block is going to happen once we have run the code, or once we have evaluated this condition inside these brackets to true. So we say if is set, and then in brackets again, so this here is checking if something inside here is set. Now what do we specify? Well, we're using the post method, so if you've looked at basic post and get, you'll know that we use $_post, and then in square brackets, and then inside that we use single quotation marks. What we then do is we put in the variable name of the posted data, which is generate. Remember I said we're checking if this is set. So generate comes up here, and we're checking if this posted data has been set. So now what we can do in here is we can run a block of code specified by our, or defined inside of our curly brackets, to run if we've clicked the button. So what do we do to test this? Well, we could just echo out some data, so we could say clicked, for example, and what this will do is when we click the button, the generate button, we should echo that out. So if we land on our page, nothing's happened, we haven't echoed click, even though this if statement has still been taken into account. We're still running the code as, you know, has it been checked? It obviously, or has it been clicked, sorry, or is it set? It obviously hasn't, so we're not going to run this line here. However, if we then click it, it will refresh back into index.php, it will send that post data, we'll check, and it has been clicked, so we echo out clicked. So obviously from this what we can do is we can look at now generating the password, which is the trickiest part of the tutorial. So as long as you've got that wrapped up, we're fine, we can go ahead and generate it.